right, coming to you.
Coming to you from where?
Where the hell am I?
Are you in the U? Is that what they call the UP?
It's very close. Yeah, very close.
Yeah,
I'm like
you're
20
up
minutes.
in the UP.
20 minutes from Lake Superior, just hanging out.
20 minutes from Lake Superior.
Yeah,
you you keep going north. If you do before you know it, you're going to be a full-fledged Canadian.
That's not going to happen. But
no, it's not gonna happen.
No, not these days. It would have been. I woke up and sat on the porch today. It was 34 degrees.
Ooh, it is. That is brisk.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm ready for the briskness, man. I think I'm done. Like I was going. We just got some cooler weather here finally, like overnight. Like it's raining right now. We're finally going to get some like 50s and maybe even like a shot in the 40s. But I was going full on sweatshirt and sweatpants this week, regardless. Even if it was 90, I'm done. I'm going through the wardrobe change. I'm putting things away, and I'm embracing it. It's time. It's time. It is time. It is time. I love it. It is. Again, it's like I just love this time of year. October is such a great month. It's October 7th, the year 2025. Welcome, everybody. You're listening to the Crushing Iron Podcast, and this is episode 882.
You got it. And do you have separate drawers for all your summer clothes and everything? Are you organized like that?
I organized? Well, I mean, I don't have a wardrobe to change out. I mean, here's my general.
As I was asking,
I take up like 1/9 of the walk-in closet, and then I've got one dresser, and I've got, I think, which is pretty standard. I got boxers and socks up top, and then I got the next two drawers are shorts, like going out shorts, and then like athleisure shorts, and the athleisure shorts are heavy, like 80% of the wardrobe. And then the next one is, sweatpants. So you got like athleisure sweatpants, and I got actual pants. And the bottom drawer is kind of like my bottom drawer is my Swiss Army knife drawer. I got like t-shirts in there. I got pants. I got basically it's like, I don't care if I fuck these up. Like if I'm going to go cut the grass, I go to the Swiss Army knife drawer. I pick out a shirt that I don't care about. I pick out some pants I don't care about. I'm going to do something like, work around the house, I go straight from that drawer. Now, my closet is where I hang up all my shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, all that kind of stuff. I hang all that up. Even like my t-shirts I've had for like 15 years, they go on the hanger, and I just, pull them from there. I just have pants, shorts, the miscellaneous drawer, and then I keep it pretty simple.
Where do you hang your Valentino jeans?
Dude, I have a confession. I think I'm probably one of them. I don't own a single pair of jeans.
No, that's no confession. I knew that.
Yeah, I figured you did like that. I don't own a single pair of jeans. I just generally, my legs feel claustrophobic. I mean, I've worn them before, obviously, but I mean, I don't know. The jeans to me feel like dress shoes. Like that's why I would try to wear flip-flops as long as possible. It's becoming a little bit hard to hear in Kansas, but my legs feel claustrophobic. I mean, it's like sucking the hair right off the top of my legs. I mean, it's just I'm telling you, it's just, I don't like it. It's like wearing, it's like wearing a trikit. Like it's a little too much. I can't. I mean, I know some people can pull them off and they don't mind. They don't mind it, but dude, it also takes like an enormous amount of time just to fucking get them on. I mean, I've got some like slimmer style, like pants I'll go out with them. It does. You got to tuck in your box. You have to do. It's a lot of effort. I'm just saying. If it takes me that much effort to put on a pair of pants or shorts, like it's like here. What's your choice, right? Give me a nice ribeye, right, which is like sweatpants, athleisure pants, or give me some crab. You have to work so hard for the crab meat just to get out a little bit. Then you got to dip it in the butter. Then it's this whole display. That's the jeans. The crab and even lobster to a degree are the jeans of the entree world. And I think the ribeye is the sweatpants, athleisure pants of the wardrobe world.
Ribeye is the sweatpants. Leisure. Hey, we've had 882 podcasts, and rarely have trouble coming up with a topic, and it seems like today could be one of those days.
No, I mean we're only doing one cast this week. I got family coming in later this week, so we only got one. So obviously we're gonna talk a little bit about Kona, but yeah, I mean I honestly don't know what would get the most like clicks.
If this is your first time listening, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
See you later.
First time tuning in, they're like, but honestly, they're probably intrigued. They're like, these guys are onto something. Like I can get into this, like, cause these things are important. I mean, just wait till we get into winter, and then you're stuck with like the sweater vest, the turtleneck debate. I mean, that gets really hot. I mean, remember when corduroys were big and bad? Like those were a thing. I think they're actually coming back. But yeah, listen, we covered all. These things are important. Everybody's different, but yeah, it's Kona week. It is the last year that they've got the Ironman World Championships in Kona with just the females, and obviously coming off Nice, I think. A lot of people are maybe kind of hedging their excitement a little bit just because the race in Nice was so incredible and such just an extraordinary race to watch from start to finish. You didn't really know who was going to win until probably like the last 5 to 7K. You had the Norwegians coming in. This year you got the ladies back. And honestly, I mean, I know they say this every year, how deep a field is. I don't know that this field is as like top 2 or 3 heavy, like, they say like a deepest field ever, most competitive field ever. I think this is legit. Like there's 5 girls who I wouldn't be shocked if they won. Really 4. But I think like you don't really see that very often. Usually it was like, Danielle Reef was so dominant for so many years. Rennie was so dominant for so many years. Then before that was Chrissy Wellington was so dominant. Annie Haug, like it really just kind of rotated. And you got Laura Phillip, who won Nice last year. Kat Matthews, the eternal bridesmaid when it comes to world championships. Chelsea Staro's back, to kind of see. And she hasn't had a lot of great races, honestly, since she won Kona here, 3 years ago, I think. But she got third last year. She was a little bit far back, but I mean, I think it was third or fourth. And you got, again, Laura Phillip, you got Lucy Charles Barkley, who seems to be on a whole nother level of fitness right now, at least on the shorter course stuff, like 70.3 and T100 distance. You got Taylor Knibb, who's been a little quiet. Dude, I think it's going to be a barn burner. And I think again, like this, I think this time next week, Julie Duran was another pick that I had going into it that I thought was going to do well. She pulled out. She's a Brett Sutton athlete. You got Solveig Lofseth. I can't pronounce the last name for the life of me, but she could do well. And the thing that I love about one, just like the Kona race is, and it's a lot different from Nice, right? In that the swim is probably going to be a little more challenging. It's saltwater, but it's not nearly as heavy salt as it is in Nice. Definitely won't be wetsuit. They'll come out of the gate hot. At least Charles Barker lead it out. But then the bike course is fast and not technical versus Nice, which is technical and not fast. And then you got the Nice run course, which is pancake flat and tons of loops. And then you've got the Kona run course, which is an absolute death march for even professionals because it gets so hot and is so challenging and it is one loop. So it offers a lot. And I think this is like an interesting year when you've got these, if you had to kind of like break these athletes up as we kind of go into like looking at the race and how it may or may not unfold. You got Taylor Knibb and I think Lucy Charles Barkley who are going to come out of the gate. I think they would probably kind of pair up. But the biggest question mark for me, honestly, going into this weekend is to me, it's like a legacy stamping weekend. You're going to see either, because if I look at like the top 4, which I really do think there's really only 4 that have a legit shot of actually winning the race, not being top 5, not being top 3, but you're going to see, I think it's going to be a headliner name maker weekend where you got Laura Phillip, who could go back to back, having won in Nice and in Kona, which I believe would be the first person to do that because she won Nice last year. None of the men have done it. And then you got Kat Matthews, who is second 70.3 World Championships, who was second at Nice last year. Ironman Pro Series, leader. But last time she was in Kona, DNF'd. She's probably the most consistent. She went to Texas here, put the beat down on Taylor Knibb. Then you got Lucy Charles Barkley, who obviously had that huge breakthrough win. She wasn't in Nice last year. You got her coming back to defend her at least Kona crown, finally having that breakthrough, which I think we even talked about it post race 2 years ago. It was one of the most like insane displays of dominance that I've seen over the course of the Ironman distance, going wire to wire out the swim, leading the bike pretty much the whole way, and then ran through the run, and at mile like 12 or 13 like had like a calf tear and just decided to keep on going. And so it'd be her bounce back, because again, she didn't do much last year. She run Ironman Lanzarote this year, which not a very deep field. She probably did as a train day. And then you got Taylor Knibb, who came in fourth, I think, 2 years ago in her debut, after kind of like just hopping into it. And then ever since then, obviously from 70.3 Worlds, which she took the title. This year she came in, she came in like 10 minutes back of Kat Matthews in Texas. And I think people just started to immediately write her off. She hasn't had her usual dominant performances in the T100. With athletes like Julie Duran out biking her in a lot of these, even Lucy Charles Barkley out biking her, and I think Singapore. I mean, I think and this could be her time to shine and her time to take, Kona. This is what she's been focused on all year. A lot of different trajectories, but I think the cool thing outside of Lucy racing that T100 race like 2 weeks ago is, and I think a lot of athletes could take some notice to this, is how quiet they've all been for like the last 2 months. Like Nib, you haven't heard a peep out of her. She hasn't been racing. It's been all eyes on Kona. Again, outside of Lucy, who raced 2 weeks ago in like a T100, which is probably like just a workout, little sharpener for her. Nothing. Kat Matthews, Laura Phillip, I haven't heard anything from them just in terms of like racing or big performances since they both raced in Hamburg, and Phillip took one and Kat Matthews went two. Then you got Chelsea Sodaro, who has, I think, admittedly, both, she would admit herself, like struggled both mentally and physically since, her Kona win, with a lot of pressure and some mental battles, but she's still top level in terms of, runner. So, I mean, I'm just pumped to watch. I think it's going to be fantastic. And then the excitement will be there coming from the men's race. And then people are going to be geared up to watch it for next year, when it's going to be next year's Kona. I think will be the most anticipated, most sought after slots in the last 3 decades. With everything going back, the sport is increasing in popularity again. Races are selling out a lot quicker. 70.3s are getting more popular and more selling out. Same thing with fulls. So again, it's a great weekend. It's a great growth weekend, right, for the sport. I mean, you and I both, like, I got in the sport from watching Kona on NBC forever ago. I remember watching, all the broadcasts on my like laptop like 20 something years ago, trying to watch it like live stream. And it's a great weekend for the sport. It's where people kind of like turn their eyes on it. It didn't get a lot of love on the major channels, but just looking at it again, like before, I kind of talk about how I think it might play out. I think it's a great weekend, and it is, regardless of what you think about Kona and, the need and desire to rotate the world championships around, it's made Ironman what it is. It has made it. It is associated with Ironman. They are in bed together. There is no getting around it. They've tried it. They try to send the men to Nice, not as many people. They try to send the women to Nice, not as many people. Giving away slots. Well, you will not be giving away a slot to Kona. You will have to fight tooth and nail to get one, which I think is exactly how it's supposed to be. It should not be easy to get in. It should create that kind of like, you see somebody's backpack or you see somebody's shirt walking around town, you're like, damn, they went to Kona? Where the last 2 or 3 years they're like, I wonder what place they got, 50th or second. And so I think it's a great weekend for the sport. I think it's great to get people excited about things. And I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I know, right? I kind of went in like the straight preview. Went from talking about jeans and sweatpants, ribeyes and lobster to straight on the race briefing.
Yeah, what fascinates me about that, I can't remember if I brought it up a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about this sports psychologist I was watching, and he was talking about how at minimum to be the best, you need it, 70% is talent, and you have to have a certain amount of talent, to be the best. But he was saying 30% is character. And that's what separates people. And I'm just always fascinated by, these great triathletes, these pro triathletes, these women, going into this race, and you mentioned a handful of people, and of course sometimes somebody sneaks through or whatever, but for the most part, what's the separator that just always keeps certain people at the top? And to me, it's got to be something to do with that character piece, the mental piece, or whatever you want to call it. You think about, I was watching the baseball playoffs last night, and go Brewers, looking good. And I was just thinking about it. Me and my buddy were just talking about how, in the minor leagues, there's probably 6,000 to 7,000, people or guys. And then, the best of the best get to the big leagues. And then, the best of the best shine in the biggest moments. And what does that take? It's, there's so many good athletes. I've seen it so many times. You see some of these amateurs, they kind of turn pro, and we know some of them sometimes, or we'll see them, and they're just like super fast. But they go to a place like this and just get kind of like, these other like seasoned pros just eat their lunch, And I'm just always intrigued by how they get there, and then how they stay there even more impressively. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, these races are just like, and it's not even that huge of a separator, but it's always, consistently a separator. They're winning these races by, what race were we just looking at? Was it Chattanooga, where, the first 7 or 8 were under 8 hours or something like that? And you're like, God, how can these people not go to like a Kona or Nice and just dominate? But they just get shelled. I that's been something that's intrigued me since we've been in this sport. We'd go watch some of these certain pros just rip apart Chattanooga, and just have a unbelievable race, and then just go to the big ones, and then it's just like, 47th or whatever. It's like, I don't even know if that's a topic, but it's just something that interests me all the time, and it's always applicable to all of us, I suppose, throughout age groups and everything like that. But there's always something going on with these people that it's like that Tim Bradley who qualified in my age group, dude went 10-16 at Wisconsin. And, I watch an interview with him, and he says he's training 25 to 30 hours a week. It's like, all right. The dude's 64.
Yeah. Right.
He's retired, but that's still, putting that kind of mileage or time in is just impressive. I don't care how much time you have on your hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that when you look at the sustainability of some pros versus others, and like Chelsea Sodaro, like if she doesn't come back and perform well here or ever again, she'll be kind of like the Pete Jacobs. Like Pete Jacobs won it. This is like way back in the day. Pretty much most people listening have no idea who he is, but he was around with Craig Alexander and Chris McCormick, and he just came out of nowhere one year after getting second, like again out of nowhere, and then won it, and then basically was never heard of again. Like he does some health issues, but like you've got these one and done ones that just kind of have this one day at this one race that they're just pretty much suited for, and then you just don't hear much from them anymore.
Right.
And to me, like going back to the mental part of it, and I think that's a huge piece for athletes too, is success and failure to me bring the same set of challenges, right? Failure, it's how you get up, right? How do you respond? How do you get back? How do you not, overcommit or overcorrect, right? And then you got the other end, right? Which a lot of success is like, do you fear wanting to go bigger and better and more instead of just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? But then also the pressure of having to always have that, hey, like you're always like to me, that's one of the most impressive things across all sports. It's like for athletes that are always expected to win, how they continue to win and how they kind of crave that. I know I'm expected to win. I like that pressure, right? And I like to be able to rise. I like that challenge. I like for people to or boo me or expect things out of me, but to be able to have to consistently do it, to me is just it's a different level, and it goes beyond athleticism and it goes beyond physical attributes or genetics, because yes, you got to have that kind of game face and that mentality in the race to win, but you've also got to have it in training, because that's what you have to get up and do it's easy to get up. for a race. Because that's race, right? You get up for a race. You get up for game day. It's the practices, it's the training that you have to continuously get up for and get excited for and get pumped for, find that motivation for, whether it's internal, external, like that's where champions are made. And that's the stuff that most people just completely neglect. And so you got people that, like fail and then they come back with a vengeance. And then after that, they're never the same because they don't have that same fire. Right? It's gone. Like you see this all the time in most professional sports. Like if an athlete's in their contract year, they just absolutely ball out. Sign a big contract and then pretty much never hit that level of performance again. And I think again, to stay hungry for that long, and this goes for age groupers too. Like there's guys in my age group that I'm like, God, they have been whipping everybody's ass for 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like they just keep doing it. And so to me, just to have that level of sustainability and constant motivation and discipline is really incredible to me, honestly. I mean, and obviously if you're on the start line as a professional female on Kona, you've got that, right? You have that to a degree, maybe not to the highest degree, right? Of maybe some of the top end competitors, but you've got it. I mean, Lucy Charles Barkas, she's an easy example because she was the bridesmaid for so many years, so many different winners, then it's easy to stay hungry then, right? Because you're like, I'm so fucking tired of getting second place. I want first. But then it's what do you do after you get first? How do you respond? And then and I even think it's been a little easier, I think, and then this is for professionals, but also I think age groupers could take, some advice from this or learn from this is with the rotation that they've had for the championships. It's been oh, well, you won in Nice, but can you win in Kona? Oh, you won in St. George. Some people would argue that Blumenfeld, he won the Olympics in an odd year. It was delayed. It was after COVID. There was extended period of time. But then they could say on the Ironman, can you win the big one? You can't. You didn't win Kona. You didn't win Nice. You won St. George on a down year where a lot of people didn't show up, but it wasn't Kona. You probably say the same thing to, Sam Laley. You won Nice, but you haven't won Kona. You got second. And Gustav Eden, he won. They'll be saying the same thing to Casper Stoynes next year. You won Nice, but can you win Kona? If you can't win Kona, are you really the top of the top, right? Not that that's right. I don't think at all, because you can that's why I love, kind of the rotational field aspect for professionals is different courses are for different horses. And I think it's just who was the best on the day. But I mean, you've got that. You got Kat Matthews, who was second last year in Nice, second to Laura Philipp in Hamburg, second at World Championship 7.3 last year. They're like, can you win the big one? And coming off a DNF, so to come back and think, man, a DNF last time I was here, how am I going to do this? You got Taylor Knibb who's coming in, and they're like, hey, for basically up until the last 7 or 8 months, you were considered the best long course triathlete on the planet, but now we haven't really heard a lot from you. And then you had a rough time, getting across the line, last year. You're barely walking, if you remember watching her. It was just crazy to watch. So you have all these mind games, you have these people talking about things, and I think it's when it comes to, and that's their job, right? That's a whole different layer of pressure, and I think I think it brings a lot of pressure. And the same thing for age group athletes, right? It's professionals don't have, or a lot of times probably don't implement something else, right? It's just triathlon. That is their job. It is not their hobby. It is their job. They are professionals, most of them. You are professionals. It is everything you do, everything you think about. There is no age groupers. We get up, we do a run. Again, I'm not anywhere close to a top elite level age grouper, but my days, I got up this morning at 4, I had some coffee, I went out and ran, I came back, I worked, my son went off to school, I'm doing the podcast, I'll probably get a workout later, then we got to do hockey, then he's got basketball practice. You have these things to kind of disassociate from the thing that you're focusing on, and which I think is a huge benefit, because just think if it was all you, but let's be honest, some age groupers are like this. They are obsessed. They are age group professionals, not by time, but by action and by like their influencer strategy, their 19 reels a day, their selfies, their constant, hashtags, their ambassadorship. Like that is who they are and what they do. There is zero separation. And so you've got athletes that over specialize in a sport and get so burnt out and then wrap everything they have into it, and you wrap up all the expectations into it, and then it just makes like just a huge, it's just a crumble. Like I was talking to a mom of one of the swimmers I work with here, and she's a, I mean, elite level swimmer but has absolutely no killer instinct, none. But she's also 11, and her mom is like, she was like, I can't figure out how to get her like over that hump. And I'm like, I don't know that you need to. I'm like, she's, going on 11 years old. She's really, really great because she loves to have fun and she just loves to swim. She never comes in with a frown on her face. She never pouts. She never doesn't not want to be there. She's just always smiling and bouncing around and having a good time. And I was like, that's how you get great. You get to show up, you swim, you love it. At some point, when she gets older, 13, 14, 15, she'll probably get that killer instinct on her. She'll start to lose and she'll hate it. And then that's when you kind of figure out, do you have that next level? But I was like, but don't rush that, because then once you rush that, then losing becomes everything and winning doesn't matter as much anymore. And I think that is just something that, again, as age groupers, like we could take a lot of advice from. It's just like how all in we go and how we get so singular focused, which is why, you and I both, and we've had a lot of podcasts about this last few weeks, is encourage people so much to, specialize and not specializing, especially right now. If you want to go out and do something for fun, go do it. If you don't want to get on your bike today and going outside and going for a run as the leaves are falling on the trail and no one's out there, then do that. Right. And don't think, oh, well, but I it's going to hurt me. And, next July when I've got to, go for this, I'm like, and again, we always say the best ability is availability, and availability isn't always about being injury free. It's about being right up top. And if you can get right up top, then you will be successful, because you will want to train. You will love to train. You'll feel better. You have more energy. You'll get more out of it. You'll want to do it, because it's just, again, it becomes more of a, not a have to or even a need to, but just a want to. Like, this is just what I do. This is what makes me feel better today. And again, regardless of what sport you're in, or if you're going towards running or swimming or more into triathlon, different distances, like, yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place to be specific, but I think a lot of athletes would be so much better off choosing something, each day, especially right now if they're far away. It's like, if it makes you happy, then do it. If it makes you feel healthy or it brings you energy, you're not making yourself do it, then don't do it. And I think, again, like, and you can track that, right? A lot of you can track by just like your mood. And I think the things that we track these days are probably, they've got a lot of value, but I think one of the most underrated things that we probably don't track enough and that we probably should track more is post-session feeling. Not as in like, yeah, I wasn't able to hit the targets today, but like, how did that session impact you mentally and emotionally? Like, I can go out. I went on a run Sunday morning, got up pretty early. The sun was coming up. I got to see the sunrise, could turn my headlamp on. It was a quiet hour and 10-minute run where I saw not a single person, and I could not have imagined a better start to the day. Put me in, we had hockey games to go to, busy Sunday, which doesn't feel like a day to take the day off. I was like, the best thing for me to do today, because I was like, do you sleep in because it's going to be a long day and like got the weekend, or is a long run going to like lift your spirits, give you some energy and make you feel good and grateful? Is it? I think, to me, that's one of the things I love so much about running is it's hard for me to see like scenarios where it's like, man, I went out for a long run. It was peaceful. It was quiet. My phone wasn't ringing. I saw the sun come up. It's beautiful. Yeah, it was terrible. I feel so much worse about my day. It's like it never happens, right? It'd be like if you like going out back right now in that pimped out cabin and sitting on the deck and be like, man, this is terrible. This really isn't lifting my mood at all. It just there's things that we can do, and what happens is that the chain like effect that happens from doing that probably gets you to do something that you may or may not have wanted to do before, but then you end up wanting to do it because your emotions, your mental capacity, your energy levels, your overall well-being score for the day has put you in such a good spot. You're like, yeah, this morning, maybe I would have forced a bike ride, but instead I ran. But now my energy is so high, and I'm like feeling better. I love the fact that I got my workout in. You're pretty likely to do your bike later, and you're probably going to be in a better spot, and it won't feel like a need or a have to. It'll feel like a want. And I think that that's just something that that you can measure and monitor when it comes to people getting close to burnout is this post session feedback. Again, not about how my legs felt, not how my power was or my pace was, but just more so like, man, like that I really feel good about this today. Or like an athlete today who's in their like the peak phase for their next Ironman. They're like, yeah, this wasn't, I didn't see the pace that I wanted to see today. So, just moving on. I'm like, what do you mean moving on? I was like, just don't expect the pace. Just go in and swim and do the best you can and then leave it. But the closer we get to races and then the fitter and the faster we become, the more we start to hope and think and expect. And that doesn't do anybody any good, because then you rarely ever reach it. And if you do reach it, it's not a whim because you expected it. And so I just think that there's a lot to take from that, and then how, some of these athletes, I'm sure these professionals lining up this weekend, they love it. And I'm sure there's also a lot of age group athletes there that are hanging their entire lives on the result that's coming up.
Yeah.
And it's a hard balance, man.
Yeah, definitely. This concept that I think about sometimes, and we, as age groupers, and trying to do long course versus shorter course, this outwork your doubts. And I just think it's very difficult to do that on a training for Ironman or even halves. There was a time back in the day, and I'm sure you remember, when I called out the podium on an Olympic one time. I said, but I said, if I can go under 30 on the swim, I think I'm going to get a podium. And I would have, but I botched the swim. But I just knew where I was, and it's like outwork your doubts, right? You can, shorter races, whatever they're 5Ks, 10Ks, even half marathons or sprints and Olis, a lot of times we're at a place where we kind of know, that in training, it's like, I can do that. I know exactly what I can do. But I think sometimes in 70.3 in long course, it's very difficult to kind of have that base and that understanding of your body over long, consistent, multiple training sessions to really know where you're locked in at. And I think obviously pros have that, and the best pros even have it more, where they know they can probably, literally within 10 minutes predict their race, because they just have that much confidence in it. And there's the doubts aren't there. They may blow up or whatever, but for the most part, they just have a handle on it. And sometimes, like you said, how do you react after you win a race? I mean, that's the hard part, usually staying on top like that. And if you want to make the analogy, it's sort of how does an age grouper react to having their best race? Is that enough? Because, there was times we used to train back in the day, and I know I was training a lot harder, and I had a way better beat on, especially 70.3s, because we'd ride long a lot and we'd swim long, and I was running a lot more. And I kind of knew maybe that, okay, I'm pretty confident that I can get in the top like 15, 20, in my age group for sure, in a, big race. But to get to the next level is where then it's sort of like you got to look back at that drawing board and go, shit, I mean, I just put a lot in here. Do I have what it takes to break through that top 10? And, I work with a lot of athletes to get to that point. It's sort of like, how do we get in the top 10? And then after that is the real hard work. It's just a game. It's different up there. And I think that now is a really good time to sort of build that runway and ramp up into a position where you can start, you have the energy, have the ability, have the strength, have the mental bandwidth to actually get into a year and put, what you might think is the ultimate training, schedule together. It's not for everybody, but, a lot of us, we get to a place where, yeah, I know I can get out there and get it done. And, maybe if everything goes great, I might have a really good race, maybe even my best race. But I never have that complete confidence. It's possible, you're in the realm, you're in the ballpark kind of thing, but to get to the level where you really understand, and I know you've been there in the past, we've both been there, kind of where you kind of have a pretty solid idea of how this race is going to pan out, and you're pretty confident in it within 10, 20 minutes or something like that. But I mean, a lot of us, lately the thing for me has always just been kind of going in, well, I'm a wild card. Let's see what happens. I know I can get it done, but I don't have confidence that I can actually pull this off unless everything goes right and I feel amazing and the whole 9 yards comes together. But it's sort of, outworking your doubts is one of the hardest things to do. But I think it's a huge piece of endurance.
No, I mean, I think the endurance part of the sport, people often wrongly associate with the physical endeavor and not the mental and emotional demand. Yeah. Because I mean, you think about like the word endurance. I'm into endurance sports. And like, oh, you do long stuff. They think about just the event itself. And we even touched on this with, when Nikki and Chris and Summer and Em did the Trans Rockies was, to me, yeah, I mean, it was incredible what they were able to do physically, but it was the option they had each day to get up and do it again, knowing how damn hard it was going to be. And I think that to me is one of the more challenging things that we have is managing how we want to be physically during these certain parts of the year with the demand that comes with it, mentally and emotionally. And those three different buckets and how they have to all be in alignment, I think, to set you up for success, but how also like you're not always going to have that, and how you prepare for that, how you distance yourself from some of those to protect the time that you're going to need to have when it is time to go all in. And I think that's a piece of the puzzle that a lot of, you see this, because I mean, most pro athletes, even though I think their season is way too long now and it's way too drawn out, and that's why you see like some of the injury rates you're seeing, and honestly, like so many different people win is that, people are racing so much and doing so much and they also talk about, like the mental, toll that it takes, on people. And I think that is protecting your mental and emotional energy over the course of the year is the most underrated piece of our sport.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the coaches' biggest roles is, hey, listen, like we're way, way too serious about things right now. In October. You don't race till May. Why are we so serious right now?
Right.
Like if we're this amped up and we're this serious about a race in 8 months, then things are not aligned. Right? Things are definitely not in the order that they should be. They're definitely misaligned. Something and that's just a lazy way to no, that's a sustainable way. Right. And it's not that you're shielding or being naive. The athlete are trying to bring them down. It's that you're trying to, because we've seen it as coaches and we've probably seen it within ourselves that, like, in my opinion, any countdown clock period should have a max of 6 to 8 weeks. Outside of that, it's too long. It's just too long. You see people with these 20. I'm like, God, that seems so daunting. It's so daunting. Like, I can't imagine. I know I talk about this I talk about it every time this time of year comes around, but this period of like October, beginning November, when I was in like the worst part of my alcoholism, like I can't, and being sober this November for, I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't even know how many years, 12 or 13, one of those two, is I can't imagine if I had like gone into my first meeting room at the back room, and it was a white picture. I knew exactly where it was, and remember like it was yesterday. And if there was like a countdown clock that was like, hey, this is how many days until you're going to be sober for, let's just say 12 years. Here's the countdown clock. Good luck. And it would have said 4,380.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, hold, I'm like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. It just feels like a lot. And so I was like, oh, I'll just wait. I'll wait to start because then the days are going to be, the days are going to be less. And so I think managing that, how long we go all in, because you can only do it so much. And I think you have to, um, like we talk about, you have to take an off season for your body, right? You have to, lose a little bit of fitness so you can gain more back. Like you have to go through a detraining period. Like it's required, or you're never going to get as good as you can get because you're constantly going to be in that gray area of trying to maintain the same thing all the time, which is not sustainable. There's no area for growth. There's no rest and digest. There's no recovery. There's no ability to go harder. It's just like steady. And then you get burnt out and you're beating your head against the wall. But now is also the best time to like recharge your mental and emotional battery and do things that you love and do things that make you feel good. Because, yeah, I mean, if you're in the thick of the block and you're like those last 4, 6, 8 weeks, there are going to be sessions every week that you're like, I do not want to do this right now, but I am so close and I'm so in it. I'm doing it anyway. I don't want to get my car and go put it out, but I'm going. And yeah, I might not feel awesome when I get done. I might not feel super grateful, but I'll be proud that I did it and just checking the box. Like you can only do that for so long. And the longer you do that, the less likely you are persist because your excitement for that race is dwindling. Like don't light the fire 25 weeks out because all it's going to do is dim. Light it as late as possible because you can throw gasoline and whatever else you need to on it, and to keep it bright until race day so you can feel that like fire inside you. You can feel that excitement. You can feel that, and that's why you like at the beginning of the cast, like you haven't heard a lot from these athletes. Like they raced and they want to do all these races, and then it was time to prep for Kona, and then you haven't heard from him because like it hadn't been like, I'm not racing at all this year. I'm just going to do this one huge race. No, you got to race. I want to do well here. I want to do here. And yes, it might be a stepping stone in a block leading into it. But man, like you have, you can't do it. And age groupers do this. And that's a way that they end up, digging a mental and emotional hole that they can't get out of. And I think again, like this time of year is again, not just to rejuvenate physically, but to restore that bucket of joy when it comes to endurance sports and how you can set yourself up for success and be able to withstand some of the pitfalls and obstacles that I think we all have, like in those last, peak blocks.
Yeah, that's when you turn into Mike Tyson and you go off into the Catskills for a month and a half. I've always been fascinated with those boxers. They just like get out of society and just work, But we can't do that most of the time, but we can do something like that. And I think that's what you're talking with these women. They're just kind of going off the radar and they're just getting dialed in and they're, just completely focused. It's interesting. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you look at the race itself and you look at the athletes that are lining up, I think this is, like I said before, I think it's a 4-woman race. I unfortunately see, not unfortunately, because I know everybody and their brother is a Cat Matthews fan. To me, this is a Lucy Charles Barkley or Taylor Nebb race. I think they come out of the water with a 3-minute plus lead on both Phillip and Matthews. I think Julie Duran not racing is the biggest issue because that would have had someone that they could have both tagged along with, but I don't think Laura Phillip and Cat Matthews tend to care for each other that much. So it would be very hard for me to see any world where they work together because who's going to switch? And then one's going to get irritated. One's going to, because they are both going to run in and around the same time. To me, the biggest benefit of that is if Chelsea Sodaro can come out with Marta Sanchez or Kat, and then just basically say, hey, like, I can't ride as strong as you girls, or I haven't been able to, but I can definitely run with you guys. So I'm going to let you guys fight it out and surge after surge. I'm just going to sit back and do my thing, because the thing too is that neither one of them are going to let Chelsea slide in between them, because then the person in the back is going to be too afraid that whoever's in front is going to get off, and Chelsea isn't going to be able to mark that move. And so I think Lucy comes out of the water first, probably 60 to 80 seconds on Taylor Knibb. And again, this is why the professional race is so different from the age group race, where you can just kind of race your own thing. Is I'm sure she's trained to put in her first 30 minutes a lot harder than normal in order to bridge a gap and catch and get on with Lucy, and then have them both work together for probably the first 85, 90. Pretty typical. And then just go straight on Daniela Reef, where she just on the downhills just absolutely tries to pop that quarter, because she'll probably need, I would say, 90 seconds to 2 minutes on Lucy to hold off. I think Taylor Knibb's going to run stronger than people think she is. And I'm not sure about Lucy Charles' ability to hold form too late in the marathon, but they're going to need 4 minutes, I think, on Laura Phillip and Kat Matthews, and maybe even more than that on Chelsea if she's in good run form. So I think if they get away, I think it's over. Then it's going to be I think it's Lucy and Taylor are going to be somewhere in that 1 and 2 spot, and then I think Chelsea, Kat, and Laura Phillip are going to be battling it out in that 2, 3, 4, or excuse me, that 3, 4, 5 spot. And then Solveig Lovseth. I'm just brutalizing the name here, but I wouldn't be shocked if she sprinkled in the top 5, even though it's her first time. But yeah, and after that, there's no point in picking. Picking the top 10 is just like you're not going to do it. There's too many. It's too deep of a field. Too many people could get in. Again, I think there's only 4 that are guaranteed a top 5, and then there's about 30 that could be in the top 10. That's how deep the field is. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. I wish it was hot. I know it's always hot in Kona. It's gonna be hot, but the weather looks like really calm and tame and cool compared to what it has been. I don't feel like they've had like a really hot, like a really, really hot and windy Kona in forever, I feel like. And that's how it always used to be, is just like brutal. I would love to see some like swells, I'm sure like the athletes are like, nah, like we don't want any of that. But I would love to see like an absolute just like fryer of a race. But yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a great race, fun to watch. I'll be watching all of it until it's time to go for a hockey triple header. So yeah, I'll be all in until I'm not.
All right, man. I'll take your word for it.
Take your word for it, man.
Just gonna watch. I don't know.
Just tune in for the last little bit. It's gonna be a run race, but yeah, should be interesting. As always, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Go to our website, c26triathlon.com. It is our one-stop shop for all things coaching, camps, and community. If you need anything from Mike, he's available. Mike at c26triathlon.com. If you need anything from me, Robbie at c26triathlon.com.
All right, man. All right, well, have a good weekend. I'll catch you next week, bud.
You too, man. See you, dude.
See you.